So it's not news to anyone that our country has to make significant reform to public pensions across the board, or those funds are just going to go bankrupt. In fact, cities have gone bankrupt over them, and the problem isn't really getting any better. A new report shows that even though states have collectively cut $100 billion from the public worker pensions, there is still an $800 billion gap. Joining me now to discuss how to fix this is Colorado State Treasurer Walker Stapleton. Mr. Treasurer, thanks so much for joining us. We certainly appreciate your time. And let's get right to it, because the study I was talking about is coming from researchers at Boston College. And I was actually surprised to see that the cut was that big, that they've cut $100 billion or closed the gap by $100 billion. But it still is $800 billion, so that even still doesn't get us close. Do you believe that number? And, are you surprised that we haven't made even more progress?
The gap is based on inflated investment return assumptions. This is going to end up affecting every single household in America.
Yeah.
And this is something that we cannot be complacent about. We have to be proactive and fix this problem, or else it's going to be a debt that we're going to leave to future generations of Americans.
It's very true. I want to explain to viewers what you were talking about at the beginning, that the problem is even bigger than most people think. And that is because when they go ahead and they make their estimations of what the liabilities are down the road, they budget in 6, 7, 8% growth in their investments every year. And no one is getting that kind of return right now.
Many of these plans, Melissa, including Colorado, have an average investment return assumption over the next 30 years of approximately 8%.
Wow.
Michael Bloomberg said that a 7.5% average investment return is indefensible, and a 7% return, if somebody offers it to you, you should take it and hope that their name is not Madoff. I mean, and the reason for these inflated investment returns is the higher the investment assumption is, the less you have to fund the plan properly. Right. And all that does is create a deferred liability and leave a debt burden on future generations of Americans. And we need to actually be better than that and get off the couch and do something about this problem before it affects every household in America. Yeah. Anecdotally, just to give you an example, we have a $25 billion pension liability here in Colorado. That is approximately $15,000 per individual, $30,000 per home in Colorado.
Okay, so let's talk about what we can do about it, though, because you look at, state workers in some places are making a big deal out of paying 10% more towards their retirement benefits than they did 3 years ago. That's nothing. That doesn't even get us close. How do you actually solve this problem?
Boston College has a great center for retirement studies that is doing research on hybrid plans that are being adopted by states like Michigan and Rhode Island and Oregon. And in hybrid plans, states insure a pension, pick a number, to 30 grand or 40 grand. Pretty good when you compare it to the private sector, and no expectation of ever getting Social Security benefits for younger workers. And then after that, an individual is responsible for investing for their own retirement security in a defined contribution plan. What it does, Melissa, is it gets the states out of insuring these six-figure pensions, which are completely unsustainable and ridiculous, which the states should never be in the position in the first place.
We're out of time, and you are so right. We have to be honest about this problem and face up to what the real numbers are, because almost no one is doing that. Thanks for coming on tonight. We appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me on, Melissa.